Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show to talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Fear the Walking Dead. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, we're finally picking up with Al, but it turns out it's Al, like, after she's separated from everyone else. It turns out, like, it's not just, like, Daniel, Charlie, Wes, and all of them like ended up going to meet up with Morgan at the sub with him and Grace and Sarah. So it looks like Victor didn't get a chance to grab them up yet. But Al's off on her own, still looking for that story. But at the same time, it's like, no, it's doing what she's always doing. Like, what always plays a core in her story is trying to find Isabel. And even then when you see that, like, the videotape of, like, her being on the camera, it's like, right, Isabel and her are documenting their time together. Because this is all supposed to be, like, when Al disappeared from, like, the back half of season 6. I want to say that the last episode Al was in last season, if I remember correctly, it had to be, like, what, 10 or 11, I want to say. Because it was the episode that her, Alicia, Wes, and Luciana, I believe, were the ones that went to basically Teddy's, like, underground people, and, like, Alicia got captured. Like, that episode, Al left, and we didn't see or hear from her until the season 6 finale. So it seems like, I was wondering what it, and it's like, yeah, we get little glimpses of that. Now it's like, yeah, her and Isabel, like, Isabel would sneak off. Granted, we know how the CR is strict about that stuff. Like, they keep tabs on, like, so where were you? And it's like, she probably just made excuses like, oh, I'm gonna go do some surveillance, or, like, do like a pickup or something like that. So she probably made, like, her meetups with Al kind of, like, coincide with that. So, but Al finds out about the Reclamation, and it's like, holy crap, because later on they grab up all her videotapes and her camera. I could never tell 100% of what time frame was when, because we see Morgan catching up with, like, you know, he finds the video, he's like, where are you, Al? And he's like, I thought it's so sweet because it's coming full circle in certain regards, because he's like, right, he's like, I'm here to ask you to stop running, even if just for a little bit, Al, because you were asking me questions I didn't want to be answering, but I answered them. And it's like, if it wasn't for you and John, I wouldn't be here right now, you know. And I'm like, it breaks my heart thinking about, I was like, R.I.P. John Doerr, he's Jr. But also it's just like, I think it is kind of sweet because it's like, right, like, because I do let that slip my mind. It's like, right, like, the same episode Morgan met John, it's also the same day he met Alan, and just like, right, how that spiral, like, how both of them played an important role in him being here. He's like, right, I wouldn't have found the path I'm on. I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be around the people if it weren't for you and John. You both played such a pivotal role in me being where I am right now, having what I have right now, the people I have right now, the people I've been able to help, the people been able to help me. Like, she played a big role in all of that. So of course he's like, I'm not going to let you, like, go just so easily out, because I owe you so much. Like, I want to make sure you're okay, and, like, why you weren't with the others. Because by the time she gets back, the Reclamation team has already, like, got her stuff. She believes they got her camera and her tapes. We end up finding out later on Morgan's the one that actually has her camera, but because she's worried about, like, right, what's on those tapes could put her in danger, because they're already after her. So I guess after her last exploit of, like, getting, because she basically broke rank and rescued everyone in the season 6 finale, and it's like, yo, like, you're breaking protocols and stuff like that, helping the people you did. I guess she didn't do a good enough job covering her tracks, which is, like, is interesting, like, because there's a whole, like, parallel that could be made to Jennifer in, like, World Beyond in that same light. But Al is trying to make sure, like, because she claims that she doesn't know where Isabel is, and because, you know, she's still being like, right, I'm not going to tell you guys anything because it's complicated. And I am curious, like, she could, because, like, the only people who know some instances of this story are, like, the others from us, you know, that they got pieces to the story before. Other than that, like, Dwight might be the only one who knows maybe a tiny bit more, because he referred to Isabella as, like, oh, your drinking buddy. Like, you know, he's like, oh, you want to go find your drink? Because he understood better than anyone looking for that person you care about, like him and, you know, Sherry. So it's like, he understood better than anyone what it was like, which obviously there's an interesting parallel too, because, like, last episode too, that element, like, ramped up even more, like, that element tied in even more last episode as well. So, but she's like, I think it's a combination of like, right, the more you know about the CR, yes, the more danger you are, because they will literally kill anyone and everyone that knows about the existence of them. But also, Al probably didn't want to admit it in the beginning, but it's also like she wanted to keep this to herself. Like, she was protecting everyone else, but even Morgan's like, no, but what you're really doing at the end of the day is protecting yourself. You're keeping up, you're trying to protect yourself in some shape or form. So that's why he was almost like, is it really us that you're trying to protect? So even at one point, I was like, right, I'll draw them away, because she was going to use that as an excuse to kind of run. But Morgan's like, I'm not going to let you go that easily. So obviously finding out about them raising baby Mo. Well, first and foremost, she's like, I heard from Sarah about the baby. Sorry. It's like, right, all that happened after she left. I forgot. I was like, right, you'd already left before the whole thing happened with Athena. I was like, damn, dude. So she's like, yeah, I'm sorry about what happened to the baby. And it's like, it's okay. And it's like, at the very least, they've been taking it day. Well, she's like, every day is hard, and it's still hard. Regardless of how much time has passed, each day doesn't make it any necessarily. It gets harder some days than others. But Morgan's like, at the very least, we've been taking care of Barry Mo. And she's like, Rachel's daughter? It's like, yeah, Rachel didn't make it. It's like, damn, dude. Especially because, like, Rachel was the beginning, like, making that promise. Morgan, like, wasn't her husband's name Isaac? I'm blanking on it. But, like, yeah, like, he did everything to make sure that her and the baby were okay. And just, like, they were kind of the first building blocks to the community that Morgan was trying to build in season 6, So, once again, just every storyline coming full circle in certain regards. But Al ended up saying, like, she needed to take care of them, because it's like, even if we kill this reclamation team, they're going to come after us, because they might think we know any of that. Like, obviously, Al's the only one that knows some things, because we find out even video-wise, like, Isabel didn't tell her everything, just certain things, but even she, like, probably made sure not to tell Al too much, because the less Al knew, the better better off she'd be. But in the end of it all, like, Al ended up sending Morgan and Grace on a wild goose chase. It's like, right, they could, and it's like even sweet too, because like Al's kind of like, right, the nuclear blast couldn't even take care of a vehicle. Sadly, running out of gas, dead. But it's like, right, go to the copter, maybe they'll have gas, but there was no ammo there, because she knew it wouldn't, because she planned on luring them away and handling this herself. Because it's like, Isabel already gave up everything for me. I'm not going to let you and Grace do the same thing, Morgan. You guys have baby Mo to look after. Go back to her. I got this, Because I think it's like Al just refuses to let anyone sacrifice themselves for him, because it's like, right, I already put Isabel in that situation. I'm not, but once again, it's fear driving a lot of those decisions. And so I love that she uses that walker and being like, hey, as she's planning everything out, and then she trips, and then she's using the old school straight up cannon to take the dude out. And I love that she's talking to him, and it's like, we could do better than that. And he's just like, even his left eye is super messed up, and she's like, all right, thanks for your help, buddy, and just squishes it out. But I feel bad, because it's like, right, I mean, it comes down to your thoughts. It's like, right, do you believe that there's a soul still inside of there, or they're just like a rotting meat sack, or whatever the case may be? It just kind of feel bad, because like, yeah, that was somebody that you're using as target practice, but it's like, it is what it is. Al doesn't get that attached to these particular walkers and the dead in that regard, but she's planning everything out. But sadly, Morgan and Grace ended up getting captured by the Reclamation team. And it's like, right, tell us where Ground 17 is, or we're going to kill them. And I was like, I know exactly where she is. And it turns out in actuality she doesn't. But she needed to do whatever she could, because like she wasn't going to convince them otherwise. So it's like, let them live. Luckily, Morgan and Grace got away. And the whole point was like leading them to Al. But sadly, her little trap didn't work. Well, a walker came and got rid of the fuse, and it's like Morgan sets it up, and it's like, now punch it. And then to move the vehicle, Morgan pulls the thing, and because she had put shrapnel in there, a whole bunch of rocks, dude, it looked like a Mortal Kombat like fatality. Literally saw viscera. They literally turned into a mist of blood, and you saw their bodies, like their skin and clothes got ripped off. It looked straight out of Mortal Kombat. It's like, yes, the show can be gnarly and brutal like that, but it was like, that's so, I was like, oh, I literally had that visceral gut reaction of, oh, because it was so fast and so gnarly and so bloody. I was like, that is some metal ass shit, dude. Come on. Holy crap. I was like, that's I'm sure someone's probably done it. I mean, I don't know where you'd be able to put that on. I don't know if you'd be able to put that on YouTube. You know, I mean, you definitely probably have a hard time making money off of it. A compilation probably wouldn't be able to make money. But regardless, I'm like, someone's got, or at least some website has probably done that already. Like top 10 deaths in like walking. I know that's already done, but like, you know, you got to start adding in some of these because that was just gnarly. It's like, oh, you thought that Walker last episode at the beginning got it hard? No. These guys got it hard. Shrapnel and all. It's like, damn, dude. Literally blew them to bits. It seemed like that's like, you know what it also reminds? That's some dead space obliteration of a body. I mean, Isaac can usually end up obliterated like that under the right circumstances. His body will blow up like that. But even also, like, just like the way you can like rip enemies' limbs off of them, or shoot their limbs off of them, like, it reminds me of that. It's just, I know, I'm like, why are you tripping about it? I can't help it. Like, to me, that was just so goddamn gnarly. I was like, holy shit. And it worked. I was like so scared that something was going to go wrong, but no, it all worked out in the end. So that's pretty dope. So, but at the end of it all, Morgan's like, right, I saved your life, so you owe me. And it's like, what do you want? It's like an interview. I'm like, once again, it all coming full circle. And so Morgan tries to interview her. It's like, wow, it's like, you really do not know how to act like on the other side of the camera. And so he's like, I want to know your truth. Like, you know, where is she? And like, it's like, obviously she's being very protective. She's like, she's not even saying Isabel's name. And it's like, where is she? Like, do you know where she is? It's like, but we find out Al could have gone with her, because part of the last time they were with each other was after the fact. I think after she had already rescued everyone, and Al was with her, and she wanted Al to come with her, but Al couldn't. And the reason why is because it would mean giving up. Isabel gave up everything, but she couldn't give up everything. That would mean giving up these interviews. She's like, there's so many stories out there. And even Al's like, I made the biggest mistake, and that is I became the story, and I should have never done that. That was the whole point of never becoming part of the story, because it's also tied to like her brother and her reasonings for doing what she's doing. And the more Morgan's pushing her, the more she just pushes away. So it's like, what are you going to do? Like, she's going to go out there and, you know, film more stories. There's so many stories that need to be told. Obviously, I forgot exactly what it was that, there was this line from Grace that I thought was interesting, like, because Morgan was like, did you mean what you said back there? You referred to Mo as our daughter. Because, like, when she was bleeding for her life, she's like, we have a daughter. And she was like, yeah, I guess I did. You know, I guess I do. Like, you know, so it's like, yeah, we are a family. Is like, Morgan was like, so let's make sure we get back to where he had said that early in the episode. I thought that was really sweet, because it's no longer like, oh, we're taking care of someone else's child. Because Morgan was saying, like, we are the closest thing to parents that little girl has. So, but it's like, yeah. There was also that situation of, like, I forgot what it was that Grace had said to Al. I think it was essentially, like, because she had actually said, like, or at one point she had thanked Al, because it's like, right, Morgan said if it wasn't for you, he would have never met me. I guess he went into a lot more about, like, him and Al's connection and stuff like that. But, once again, like, even when Al tried to leave, she tried to find maps to the CR, because she's like, right, I'm going to expose this story. But then Morgan followed her again. She's like, what are you doing? He's like, I was in the same position. Like, I wouldn't be here right now if you and John hadn't followed me one more time. And he's asking her, is this really what you want to do? Is this really going to be it? Like, are you just going to leave things as they are, not go after Isabel or anything, not come back with us? Like, because she also wanted, like, because the reason why Morgan filmed the recording he did is because he wanted something so they could all remember Al by, have some reminder of her. But at the end, I wonder, did she leave Morgan the rest of the tapes too, like the interviews and stuff like that? Like, that way everyone has their, like, any moments they had with Al could be like their moments. Like, you know, anytime she interviewed any of them, like, it'd be a nice probably thing for everyone. Like, I'm sure, like, June would probably want some of the stuff with, I don't know if I don't remember she ever gave June any of, like, John's stuff. I'm trying to remember. John Dory Sr. came up after Al had already left, didn't he? I think he came up after she had already left, I believe. I'm blanking on the order of things, because I think they would appreciate having something, you know, to remind them of John. But obviously, there was the radio signal, and Al hears that, right. They actually found out where she was. They found out where Isabel's helicopter had dropped down. So it's like, right, they're almost going to find her. And, you know, Morgan's asking, like, what she's going to do. And she's like, are you going to go after her? Or are you going to just go and try and expose them? It's like, she's like, I haven't really decided yet. But Morgan wants her to just go out there and like, he wants her to at least go after Isabel, because it's like, right, you obviously you care about her, and this, for him, he had told her, like, right, like, what this all comes down to is you being scared, because, like, are you going to, like, go after her this time? Are you going, but ultimately, them saying their goodbyes, and she does end up going after Isabel, and Isabel, like, one of the last things Isabel played was, like, what Al had told her before, and like as it's playing on the TV, I think very poetically, as Al's saying stuff in the video, Al in real life is responding and being like, that's not going to be the case. It's like, right, like, if I have to give this up, you gave up everything for me. If I have to give this up, I'll come to resent you. She's like, I won't. And she ends up smashing the camera, because she's like, it's not about the camera. At the end of the day, I was just scared, because it's like, right, are you afraid that, what it comes down to with anything of, like, opening yourself up to someone and being scared about what the future holds, and, like, what if, like, just things don't work out, But at the end of the day, for Al, it's like, even if they don't work out, we're gonna try. Because for her, it's like, I was scared and I am scared, but what was scarier was not coming after you to make sure that you were okay, checking on you. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go out there and try and find some place that can be ours. And Isabel's like, if it doesn't work, she's like, then at least we tried, I think that's important. Like, it's, you're always going to be, putting yourself out there like that can always be a scary situation, because it's just like, she's scared of just like, that's why she made an excuse. Like, she kept using the camera in the interviews, like, oh, this is so important. It's like, she let her past, like, scare her from putting, oh, right, I remember the line Morgan said that I was like, I'm glad he said it, because I love the line of, like, he's like, it's okay to, like, that you are part of the story, and that's a good thing. I'm glad to have been a part of yours, and I'm glad you were a part of mine. I was like, I love that, because it's very sweet, because it's like, yeah, because, like, we have had impacts on each other's stories. Like, we are all better having you been part of our story, and you are better because of everyone that's become a part of it. You are the story in all of this, and we all have played some small part in it, and we're glad to have all been a part of it. So, and now being able to open yourself up to allow yourself to be a part of Isabel's story, and Isabel to be a part of yours. And that's not just separately, but together, what your stories will look like together, You were feeling it, you were vibing before, but you were scared. Like, when the time came, like, running away from her, you got scared because you're afraid, because you can no longer hide behind your camera to separate you from the other person. Like, you have to, like, just direct, like, putting yourself out there is scary, especially under the circumstances you're both under, like, But I thought that was really sweet. I don't know. I'm glad Al's story is playing out like this. I've not looked into it. I'll look into it later. Whether or not this is Maggie Grace, the actress who plays Al, whether or not this is her last episode. This might be her exiting Fear the Walking Dead. But they leave it open. It's like, cool. Like, just because you're leaving, that doesn't mean you have to die just to leave the show. It's like, no, like, it could be a situation of, like, right, even if you might be leaving the show, but there might be a window and certain circumstances that'll, like, open back up so that you can always come back in if you choose to. So, like I said, I'll look into it, because this might be her last episode. It might not be. We'll have to wait and see. But I think that's so fascinating, too, because Al exiting the story, too, means there goes, like, this series' only connection to the CR. Like, this was the show's only connection to the CR. Like, Rick kind of was like, well, Jadis and Rick ended up being, like, the connection in The Walking Dead, but we haven't tied back to that in ever. Like, once again, the movies will dive deeper into that. But, like, once again, the World Beyond is our true blue connection to the CR. So I'm curious if any more CR stuff will ever come up in this show now that Al's kind of, because she's been that main through line. I mean, granted, they could always encounter the CR at some point later on in this show. Like, they still exist in this universe, so there's always opportunity to bump in, like, other people of it. But, like I said, if this is Al's final episode, like I said, if it ends up being that, kind of a nice, sweet way to kind of go out like that. It's not like, it could be uber depressing, Because, I mean, even Michonne's last episode was like, You know, I mean, it's not like Michonne's dead. She's out there looking for Rick. So, like, Denai Guerrera left the show, but I think there's always room if they wanted to. And I think if she wanted to, if the story called for it, she will probably, like, come back in some small capacity. Maybe if, you know, but she might be, like, done. Like, might not make any future small appearance. You know, just, it always depends on how people feel, how much time passes and stuff like that. But yeah, like, her ending was a little more hopeful. So it wasn't, like, uber depressing. Like, most uber depressing endings are just like, oh, that person's straight up dead. So that's typically how those end. So, but I just thought that was kind of a nice wrap up to, like, Al's arc, especially because this storyline has been a bit part of Al's story for a while now. Ever since she met Isabel, it's been a part of her story. So for it to kind of, like, fully, like, it all come full circle, because also playing into the theming of between her and Morgan, considering, like, right, it's sad that John couldn't be here in a moment like this. Just because it would have been nice to have all three of them together like this. But it's like, right, saying goodbye to Al, one of his early connections, a reminder of just like, right, you and John are the two most important people to, like, lead me to where I am and get me to where I am right now. And he'll always be grateful for that, you know? And he never got a chance to, well, he talked to John about it a little bit before John died, like how, you know, but, I don't know. I'm getting, like, all gushy and emotional about that, but it was just kind of flowing through my head. But I still think it was nice thematically. Like, obviously you need to involve Morgan in this because he's looking for everybody, but it's like, it's important that he was, and I think it's important, like, right, him and Grace being there for Al, because it's just a reminder of, like, right, we might not even be here with our situation if it wasn't for Al either. So I think it's just thematically, I really enjoyed it, and I loved how it all played out. So like I said, if this ends up being the end of Al's arc, I'll be happy knowing, like, you know, her and Isabel are out there finding their own way, always trying to, you know, even if we have to look over our shoulders for the rest of life, at least we're going to give it our best. We're going to, you know, just like everyone else in the show, like Morgan and them, like, they're going to try and do their best as well. So I wonder, does Al know about Victor too? Probably word got out about that. That conversation never came up because it's like, right, she's on her own lane, so she ain't got time to worry about Victor. So, but regardless, I'm very interested to ultimately see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.